Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We've got new info from the devs in a number of interviews and presentations that happened at GDC this past week, and we are ready to dive in. Despite the Fantastic Four's long history in Marvel Comics and a handful of films, the team still noticed an uptick in searches specifically for Invisible Woman. According to Danny Koo, executive producer at Marvel Games, when we announced Fantastic Four, the Google searches for Invisible Woman went up 3,000% in that period. And while I'd like to believe that this is all just innocent interest in comic characters, this isn't surprising, especially considering Overwatch's reputation for adult material, which a lot of that Overwatch community came over to Marvel Rivals. Especially with how detailed the models are in game, we've been given rise to a lot of insane mods. Of course, there's more innocent ones like her 2005 skin or this really cool Spectral Waves one, but there's also outfits like this Snow Bunny, the 90s suit, and untastefully thick Invisible Woman, and then just a lot that I literally can't even show on YouTube. Which again, honestly, not a huge surprise, as her Malice skin certainly caught a lot of attention on launch as the community deemed it the Gooner skin. So NetEase kind of just set everyone up for this one. We've also now got a new Moon Knight skin coming out to the game on March 28th. The skin's inspired by the MCU Moon Knight show, which I personally actually enjoyed a lot, even though we've heard that he's not getting another season, at least as of right now, but supposedly making an appearance in the new Doom movie. We saw the skin leaked a while ago with this image here, kind of that more bandaged and armored Moon Knight look. Again, I think it's awesome, though I don't know how creative you can really get with Moon Knight skins considering how plain his outfit kind of is. We also learned that Marvel Rivals is balanced strictly for fun first and foremost in that same interview. He says, so every character we balance for fun first and foremost, as in if the character is fun or not to play. That's always number one, and then the team has data on win rates, making sure that no one character is too painful and oppressive, so everyone's still having fun, but that's secondary. The game is built to be more acceptable for casual play. People just want to have fun, and at the end of the day, that balance is for fun and is the key number one priority of anything, which really makes a lot of sense in a game about superheroes. I know people compare it to Overwatch a lot, but ultimately the game has a massive marketing arm, and the fact that it is related obviously to the MCU, then the comics, and all these TV shows and all these properties that are out there where people see a movie about Venom and then they want to play Venom in the game and they want to have fun playing him. You don't want to idolize Iron Man and then you play Iron Man in the game and he just sucks. So it makes sense that that is their first and foremost priority. Speaking of heroes, they also say that they like throwing in curveballs to the characters in game so that we aren't always going to see just the most popular heroes. And we've already seen that with heroes like Squirrel Girl, Magic, Psylocke, and Jeff the Shark. He says roughly 70% of the roster is made up of your greatest hits, like well-known heroes, Iron Man, Captain America, and more. Then we throw in some curveballs. You might not even know who they are to make the roster more interesting. What we do is whenever we have a character, we'll come up with a character background, who they are, comic references they appear in and what they do, and then we'll hand it over to the design team. That design team will then come up with some ideas and we'll both agree on what their baseline is. When we feel good about it, we go into production of the hero. Once they've done all of that, then the marketing team is like, okay, how do we present this to a new player that might not know whose world this is? And then they have even a comic historian come in. I think that's a really cool process to hear the fact that they even bring in these comic book historians, which does also make sense given the property they're working on, because if you get something wrong or too egregiously different from what the comic accurate hero portrayal is, then you're gonna have a lot of people upset with you. He goes on to say that nothing was out of the question as far as heroes go, but that they focus on making characters that are distinct from each other. So for example, he specifically says Hulk and Red Hulk roughly have the same silhouette, so we may not want to do that one. This is kind of a mix of good news and bad news in my opinion, where a lot of people may have hoped to see characters that are fairly similar to other ones. Obviously, he directly names Red Hulk, even though it is a different character than the Hulk, But we can also think about this in terms of people who are similar to Iron Man, like War Machine, or other Spider-Men, maybe like Miles Morales. I think if we ever do get those sort of heroes, it would be much later down the line, because there are so many interesting Marvel heroes that they can pick and choose from that are very unique and very distinct from each other. Why add another Spider-Man to the game right now when you could add any of the Sinister Six? A lot more X-Men. There are plenty of options, so it makes a lot of sense. Their abilities have to be distinct as well, because we have all kinds of players. Some players love to be strategists, some players like to dive into the action, some like to watch other people play. So we have to tailor to every type of player. This does give me hope that kids aren't going to be too similar. I mean, the more and more heroes that we get in the game, the kits are going to have to get super unique. And they've already gone to show that they are really focused on making each of these heroes feel like their own independent hero and not too similar. So I think it's going to be cool to see how these roles really evolve, and that makes sense why we'll never get that role queue, because maybe strategists aren't all only going to be healers. Maybe a lot of them will, but a support player could do a lot of different things than just heal. Speaking of those very unique abilities, with Doctor Strange, one of the coolest features in Marvel Rivals is his portals. But you might not know that the devs took inspiration from Hazelight Studios' It Takes Two to optimize those portals. They figured out a way to render multiple views without performance issues, because the graphics engineer was inspired by how It Takes Two functioned on split screen. I think it's awesome to see how these games can influence each other, and Hazelight has gotten a ton of deserved praise recently with Split Fiction, so props to them. Now over to the competitive scene. Despite all odds, Rocket Raccoon has been getting praised for his versatility. Despite that sheer hate that he's gotten from many streamers, even a seasoned esports pro like Space, a longtime Overwatch pro, gave him praise in their comp.
A lot of it is due to his Z, like his team up. The infinite ammo is really strong. It's very strong in the neutral, and it's good against Venom, and then the res beacon is on top of it, and his ult is also very strong. He also has like pretty good healing for like a second support. It's not bad.
Sure.
And, you know, he has a good survivability. So yeah, I think overall just people are starting to see that there's more value in playing Rocket with his kit. But yeah, that's kind of where that comes into.
Awesome. And when it comes to tanks, Groot is often considered one of the best, even being called broken by FlyQuest player Spark, who, yes, did not have the best webcam in the world.
Do you think that the Bucky rocket is enough to stop those walls? Is it enough damage, or do you think there needs to be more?
No, I think Rocket Bucky is like really good to make it really hard to like abuse, but like it's still just like broken. Like you have to pick that character. Like there just has to be like more than like 3 X factors to make him not picked or something.
In a game dominated by mouse and keyboard players, it's cool to see some pro players are making waves by playing with controllers still. TTK, part of the 100 Thieves, is crushing it with characters like Magneto and Doctor Strange, which is awesome to see that this success in the scene isn't just dominated to one type of input. I mean, it is dominated by mouse and keyboard, but the fact that there are players who play on controller, I know he does, I know there's a player on OG Esports, and when asked about it, this is what he said.
I'm sure the audience wants to know, man, an absolute demon on the controller. How did that start for you? You were a console guy, and what made you want to stick with it? Because obviously it works.
Yeah, I've just been a console guy, and then for me, I just can't play keyboard for shit, so I just stick on the controller. Yeah.
You don't need to, man. You know what I mean? From what I'm seeing, you don't.
Which honestly, I feel that. I play mouse and keyboard, but controller is so much more comfortable that sometimes I do think about switching. Last but not least, we had our first insane tech pause in Rivals Pro Play, as I think it was like an hour and a half or more, as we just waited for 100 Thieves and Sentinels to play, where the players just slowly started descending into madness. I mean, they were playing Connect 4 against each other, and Wordle, they started shooting content. They were even barking at each other on the timeline. That's how you know it got bad. And this was all because an observer DC'd mid-map, so they had to stop the match. Then it took way too long to decide what to do. Rivals Esports is very new, obviously. This is like the first foray into it with the Marvel Rivals Invitational, so they have a lot to learn, a lot of processes to come up with, but this was just kind of ridiculous. I mean, the situation was that they disconnected in the middle of a match after 100 Thieves had already beaten Sentinels on half, one of the domination matches. 100 owed them, and then it took them that long to figure out what they should do, and they ended up just replaying it with the same picks and same bans, and guess what? 100 Thieves, 100 owed them again. So it was kind of insane, but we also finally got some trash talk between 100 Thieves and Sentinels as well.
It's more or less just tried to have fun with it. It's no hard feelings. We don't dislike anyone. It's just tried to have fun, honestly, and put on a show. It's not anything serious.
You do a good job at it.
The only team that we're kind of serious with is Sentinels.
Well, yeah, you have to. You got.
Wait, why though? Why though? Why?
Korova has called me and Harvey very bad players from the start, and we don't think he's good, but he calls us bad. The only time they ever beaten us in a map was like triple res, but we're beating them on that now, so it's just I don't know. Maybe they'll eventually win a series. Rhyme Mazing went to a character that he is good at, and I don't know. His 2 tricks still didn't work. They went to their last resort, still didn't work. So I don't know. That team is a lost cause at this point.
100 Thieves did end up going undefeated and taking home the win, so congrats to them. They are easily one of the best rosters in the world right now alongside Virtus Pro. I'm super excited to see that Thieves are investing into the esport. Personally, I'm hoping for some kind of merch line coming from them. A Marvel Rivals jersey would be sick, but I'm excited to see what comes next. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any thoughts on any of these topics, let us know in the comments below, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. I plan on doing these videos quite a lot more. I'll catch you next time.